One of the questions I think that is coming to my mind though is, you know, the injured part, he needs to be better. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. But what are we expecting from Pettersson this year? Like, we're at the end of, if we're talking about it, we're grading in April, the end of the season, whenever the season's over. Hopefully, there's playoffs. What do we think is a good year for Pettersson, production wise?
So you're talking statistically?
Yeah, where are we? You know,
I hope he's healthy, being able to play 70 plus games and 30 plus goals. I think would be a good step forward for him. You look at his.
I was thinking that too.
Yeah, he had 28 goals in 71 games in his rookie year, and then he got 27 goals in 68 games in his second year, 1920. He had 10 goals in 26 games. I just think it's. I think if he needs to take that next step, he has to hit that 30 goal plateau, and he has to be at or above the point per game status.
For me, the statistics are one thing. The other part of it is just more the look in general. I want to see a PD that's going to be, the clearly the Canucks' best player night in and night out, and be dominant throughout the season. Not have long stretches where he gets quiet or he's getting pushed off the puck too easily. That kind of thing. We want to see him assert himself and really show that he is one of the elite talents in the NHL. And if we see that, the rest of the team will follow. That'll give everybody the boost that, yeah, we have that top end talent here that is going to, produce for us and carry us through the more difficult times. And I think the effect on the rest of the team will be huge if we can see that happen again. So this is going back to like 2 years ago, PD, right? I'm less concerned about numbers. 30 goals would be great, but if it's only 24 and the Canucks are in the playoffs and he's still a major impact away from the puck, that's good enough for me.
Fair enough. And I also think, just the fact that he's being putting on more weight is definitely going to help his game. Like, when we drafted him, he was skin and bones pretty much. Whereas I think most of us have seen the photos of him on his vacation in Greece, and he's clearly put on, pounds, but has also made sure that it's toned pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So he may have went to McDonald's, but maybe not. Is that what I'm hearing?
The Canuck nutritionist would say otherwise.
Yeah. Comment here from Dylan. I'm not doubting Peter. I just don't think wanting to win is not cookie cutter. I don't think we're saying that there's a cookie cutter way to win. Of course not. I think there are various ways to win, but I mean, he wants to win. I don't think
it's just more the comments, and for me, it wasn't necessarily. It didn't come across as cookie cutter for me because of the way he said it.
Yeah,
and everything. I think, it is because he, in Dylan's other previous comment, he brought up Christian Ehrhoff, and yeah, Ehrhoff said he wanted to win and then went to Buffalo, but Buffalo also backed a Brinks truck up to his front lawn, and money talks.
Yeah.
You get offered a lot of money back, and you've got a short earning window as a hockey player in all comparative to like how long most people live. You got to go for it when you can.
And when I think that a 10-year deal too, I think he's actually might still be getting paid by the Sabres right now.
There was a very long deal. Yeah, no, it's a valuable point there. But still, I mean, when and I love Sean's Brink truck references, but when the Brink truck arrives with the money, even if it's from the Buffalo Sabres, I mean, as a free agent, you're still looking at it like, well, they're committed to spending to add a good player. If you're Christian Ehrhoff, you're feeling like you're a good player, and so I still think you go in with some degree of optimism that they're trying to win. But yeah, he could have gone other places probably for less money and definitely an improved chance at winning the cup.
Well, even last year, Taylor Hall, right? He said, I want to win, and then he went to Buffalo.
No, on a 1-year deal with a lot of money.
Yeah,
and then he got traded at the deadline.
Yeah,
like I think that's a potential situation for Alex Edler. If LA's not in the playoff hunt, he's on a 2-year deal.
2 years. Yeah,
2-year. So he could be someone that a team looks at the deadline. So just because you go to one place doesn't mean you're not necessarily looking. Maybe you're playing the long game.
Well, I mean, ultimately that contract was brilliant for Taylor Hall to do because he ended up being in Boston. He's in a better situation. He got the prove it deal that he proved it enough for someone to get him, and now he's secure in Boston. So it worked for him. It just didn't at the time. People were scratching their head when you hear a comment, "I want to win," and then you go to Buffalo. But I again, the overreaction of that. I guess one of the other things that I've been thinking about too is who is Pettersson? I mean, we have obviously. I mean, there's an obvious. We have Pettersson, Miller, Besser, and I think that's obvious. But I have a hunch we're going to see a little bit more Pettersson, Garland this year than I think people realize. I just look at those two as a style, and I think that they could have some really good chemistry together.
Wouldn't it be nice to have Travis Green on so we could ask him that?
Hey, Travis, you are welcome to come on the show.
Come on and tell us what your plans are.
Come on and tell us your lines. We would be happy to. Yeah.
Well, you'd hope that they would at least give that a try at some point here. I mean, you got this shiny new toy. Let's see what you have here, right?
There's going to be a lot of flexibility what they can do. I think whether it's shuffling Besser and Garland around between Horvat and Pettersson's lines, or whether it's Miller being a center or a winger, or let alone you got Höglander and Podkolzin coming up too, who can add some depth and some flexibility on what they do.
Yeah, and then they just signed Jason Dickinson yesterday. Also can play multiple positions.
Yeah, I think the bright spot of this offseason is just the versatility that we have in our forward lines now.
Yeah. I mean, but I do also think it's also fair to expect a bit more from Brock Besser this year as well. I think he's another guy that needs. I mean, I'm not saying he's been terrible. That's not what I'm saying. But Tyler, you have said this often that we have criticized. There's been a lot of criticism in Canucks management and not a lot of criticism on Canucks players. And I do think it's fair if the Canucks are going. And I think right now in my early preview here, I have the Canucks finishing in second right now. Things could change if everything stays the same. But I do think for that to happen, Brock Besser needs to be a bit better than he was last year.
A bit better, yeah. I mean, last year he really bounced back from the year before, and we've talked about why the year before was a challenging year for him with his father and contract negotiation and coming off of injuries. But I thought we saw a really, really solid Brock Besser last year. So now if he can, as you say, take that up another notch, a bit better. Dramatically so, I don't think it's realistic, but if we can see at least incremental improvement off of last year, then that's a huge plus for the Canucks. And of course, he's heading into a contract negotiation, so he should be well motivated. And I am expecting a big year from Brock Besser for sure. If people want to see the Canucks back in the playoffs and make some noise in the playoffs, the whole roster has to be good, and it's reasonable to critique the performance of the top end for sure.
We're talking about a Brock Besser who was scoring at a 30-goal pace and a 70-point pace last year.
Yeah.
That's
why I say to expect it to be hugely better is asking a lot.
No. It's for the Canucks if they get that from Besser, they get Miller to get back to not being as volatile. Petey's playing well. You've got Garland and Horvat as well. That's a good base to help them be a playoff team and push and surprise people who doubt them. I think there's going to be you look at that, and I said, I've always been someone who's like looked at how Brock Besser plays. And to me, he plays in a way that even if he's not producing, he's still helping. He goes into the corners and digs pucks out. He's a big body, he gets shots off that create rebounds and creates havoc, and he's a threat with that. So I think it's so you do want players to improve, but I don't, like I said, it's 30 goal pace and 70 points, and he could potentially be your third or fourth best forward. That'd be amazing.
Now, here's the thing, guys, is that, so, just great. You gave me the great segue here. I mean, we're talking about how they've improved up front, and I think, you go down the list of names, and you even go further down to Höglander and Podkolzin, and you're feeling pretty good. There's Tyler Mott there. You've got Brandon Sutter as your fourth line center on a better, friendly $1.125 million cap hit. But none of that's going to matter very much if the defense is the shits, right? So that's for me more the concern. If they can't get out of their own end, then we got some bigger issues there. And one of Jack Rathbone, Olio Levy, or perhaps even beyond that, is going to have to really pick it up here to give the Canucks that solid back end that can move the puck out of their own end up to those forwards. And obviously it goes without saying, OEL's got to be better than he was in Arizona.